The people have been asking when puppy 3. Well, today is puppy 3. Underdog Fantasy launched their third puppy, the biggest, the one everyone's been waiting for, $1 million prize pool, $5 entry. And I couldn't think of a better guest to bring on for the opening day of the puppy than my coworker, Jeff Edelstein, who is drafting a marathon of puppy teams today. He's trying to get to 50 puppy drafts in one day. So we're going to try to knock out one of those here on stream, draft it with you guys, have a little bit of fun. It's puppy 3 time. All right, Jeff.
Yeah.
The first, so I got to get straight into it. You said before we hopped on, I saw your tweet. You've made it through 27 puppy drafts. And how long? How is this? A, thank you for joining me. B, how has your day gone? Like, you're showing up here to draft another team, and you've been like nonstop drafting best ball teams. I feel like this is a long day for you.
I have been nonstop drafting best ball teams without like trying to like poke too much fun at it. This is like the most mental energy I've expanded like consecutively. I can't remember the last time. I mean, I've been going I was up at 6:30 waiting for it to drop. It didn't drop until like a little after 11. I did one draft and I was talking to you trying to get everything set up on my end.
Yep.
Fight week. But I around noon is when I went hardcore. I was doing 3 or 4 an hour nonstop until about a half hour ago. Like no breaks, just go and carry my computer to the bathroom, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I was just gonna say I've done the marathon thing kind of like you were doing, and it sounds really silly, right? We work in like fantasy sports and gambling and stuff, and you're like complaining about being exhausted from drafting fantasy football teams. But like when you really try to like sit down and do a bunch of drafts at once and whatever, it's like exactly like what you said. You're like, I got to go to the bathroom, but I'm about to be on the clock, and like I want to eat lunch. And I can't because I got 4 drafts going at once. It is really kind of a crazy thing, but we're in this weird stage. I'm really excited that you did this with the puppy 3 because these puppies on Underdog specifically are filling so fast. Yes. And this one's already 10+% full.
I know.
In however many hours. That's just crazy. Or it's gonna fill in like 2 weeks, and it's a huge contest. And so you kind of have to do what you're doing at some point if you want to max these contests or get a lot of entries into them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would not recommend doing what I did today. I mean, I'm not kidding. I don't want to like. So this is what happened yesterday. I texted like my boss. I write for US Bet Sports on covering the gambling industry, but they let me have some fun with this stuff. I said, listen, I got an idea. Let's see how many best balls drafts I could do in a day, and I'll write about it. He's like, great idea. I'm like, oh man, I wasn't entirely sure I wanted to do this, but I did it. I sat down. I did. I mean, the looks I was getting. My wife, God bless her, she could not comprehend what the hell was going on. I had to leave the house. There's too many people at my house. At her office, it was crazy. She's like, you're getting paid for this? I'm like, no, I'm paying to do it. She's like, well, I understand. I go, you don't need to understand. When I win $1 million or $200,000 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That is you just like summed up your day today is my life in a nutshell. Where it's like you're like, I'm trying to explain to my wife what I'm doing, and it's like, so you're gonna talk to internet strangers on YouTube about fantasy football in May.
Yeah.
The football season doesn't start for forever, or you're gonna draft thousands of teams. I'm definitely gonna get into the 4 figures of drafts or whatever this year, and it's like that seems crazy to a lot of people, but I do think it's fun to see someone like you kind of dive into it a little bit. And I'm curious, before we hop into this puppy draft, is there any like thing that you've kind of like learned, right? The you learn by doing, right? Like
Yeah.
the play, whether it's just you could have like a player you like or things you have kind of figured out from firing off that many drafts. You learn by doing. It's easy to sit back if you haven't drafted a bunch and say, oh, I like this or I don't. But once you do 27 drafts in 3 hours or whatever, you learn a lot. And is there anything that you specifically, has come to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that I have a hard time getting off like my favorites, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like I went into this, when I started drafting 2 months ago or whatever. Like I knew, like the Giants were falling to me. I love the Giants this year. I mean, I like the idea of the Giants.
Are you? So I actually don't know this. We probably should have talked about this before. But are you a fan of any team specifically or anything like that, or you just like the Giants? Brian Daboll, new team, Saquon, Tony, everything. You're excited about the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that, I mean, you look at Tony and Galloway and Wendell and Barkley, and you just eliminated the Giants logo from them and put them, say, like, on the Cowboys or on the Chiefs. People would be like, falling over themselves to draft these guys. So anyway, the point I'm making is that, like, I know that I have a hard time getting off like my favorite players, right? And doing this 3 or 4 drafts at a time over 6 hours or whatever, I kept going back to see like where my, where I was landing percentage wise. And I'm like, I can't not keep taking the guys that I want to take. And I know that's probably the wrong, you want to spread it out a little bit. Today I think I had like 4 or 5 1-1s, and I wanted to split it up between McCaffrey and Taylor, but like, I just kept going back to McCaffrey. I just think he's a better pick. So, I think I wish I did it differently a little bit. I wish I was able to, like, break away a little bit from what I loved. Okay. But maybe in 6-7 months I'll be like, oh, thank God I stuck with my guns.
Yeah, that's the thing. You are outlining. I love that you mentioned that. That's such a because it's a very polarizing subject in the entire best ball space. Basically, do I stick to the player I think is the best pick at this point? The McCaffrey Taylor thing is a good example, right? You get the 101. Jonathan Taylor is by ADP. Generally, people take him as the 101. A lot of people, and I still take him at 101, but it's exactly because of what you said. I actually prefer Cooper Kupp to both of them, but I take Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey because they're awesome. Like Christian McCaffrey, who has anything negative to say about Christian McCaffrey? Jonathan Taylor is an incredible football player, scored 20 touchdowns last year. I don't want to have drafting at volume like I do. I don't want to have 0 of those guys personally. I understand if you do, but I take that approach to those guys. However, on the opposite end, there are other guys who I don't necessarily take that approach to, and actually, some of the Giants are examples. I take a lot of Saquon Barkley. Wan'Dale Robinson is probably one of my favorite picks, like period, in all of drafts. And there are guys who I do that exactly like what you said. So I think there's always this balancing act of, do I diversify around a little bit, or do I just take my stand on those guys, knowing it's more of a high risk approach, but it's also more of a high upside approach, right? I've created one path to win. If I take Christian McCaffrey every time I get the 101 or 102, I'm going to get more Christian McCaffrey, more shots. If he's right, I get a better chance to win as opposed to spreading it out.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, with best ball, it's only going to take us like 8 or 9 lifetimes to get enough data.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily for us, they do in season. So when the guys that I drafted 40% of get hurt in week 3 or whatever, they do in season contests, they do playoff contests. So we get a little bit of a reprieve from too much torture. Last year, you and I hadn't communicated last year, so I don't know how familiar you are. I had two big stands basically, and they were both epic failures, like the worst kind of failures you could possibly imagine. Trey Lance, who obviously just basically never played.
Right.
So congratulations on taking him in the 9th round or whatever when he actually doesn't even play football. And Darrington Evans became the brand play for me. He was the late round running back that I had really tied myself to. And the crazy thing with him is that the bet was like look, Derrick Henry's getting older, and just like what if something happens to Derrick Henry, and they need somebody to play passing downs, even if Derrick Henry's healthy or whatever, he was the guy. Well, then he gets hurt. Darrington Evans gets hurt in the first preseason game and is never to be heard from again. And then Derrick Henry gets hurt, and I get to watch Donta Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard just like go crazy for fantasy. And I'm just losing my mind. So like, there's so many ways that this can all play out. So there's no right answer, right? To the, do I just take my guys or do I kind of spread it out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna look at my exposures real fast here, and they, it's a lot. I guess
Who are you? What are your highest exposures now through just in this, or you could do it overall too. But I'm curious to see like how's today gone exposure wise.
I'm not even sure how to do it. As you've learned from me today, like my comfortable level around computers is lacking. I exposure for just the puppy, or I have to be on. I think I got to be on the desktop today. Like, let's just go. I mean, I'll be honest with you. My exposure today was not that much different than what it would have been.
Overall, it's fine. Overall,
but I mean, Daniel Jones and Kadarius Toney. I mean, and Galladay.
Love it.
I mean, those are my top three. At 48, 40, and 38%. Like I have just a ton. And a lot of that was taken very early. So like I'm very happy with like where my ADP landed and all that.
Yeah.
But I mean that and then I have a lot of like high. Oh God, this is terrible. Robert Tonyan, Noah Fant, like these are because I would wait for tight ends, and these are the guys, these are the tight ends I like, and it goes on from there, and then I got a lot of Godwin, a lot of Schuster, Irv Smith. I think I have Irv Smith on like every single team twice somehow. I'm not sure how that works. But a lot of Irv Smith, but and then it goes from there, and it's like I mean, I again the data, we still have so much to learn, but it does feel like it's as long as your early round picks don't get hurt, you win or lose this with your late round picks.
Yeah, mid to late, your early round picks. I think you're queuing me up for something I said on Friday. I think actually on a show here, so that people can go back and watch the draft we did on Friday, where literally I basically said because I think I took I can't remember who I took in the first round, but it was Debo. I took Debo in the second round, and I was talking about exactly like what you said. Do I think Debo is in the second round is going to be like the league winner, the Cooper Kupp? No, like not at all. Like that's not even like actually in his range of outcomes. But I think Debo is a guy that, again, assuming health, right? You always have to kind of caveat it. I can't really like lose. Is he a win in the second round? I don't know. Probably, it's up to kind of the fantasy gods. But I don't think, assuming health, I can like really lose. And that's how I view those first couple of rounds, where it's like, that's why I lean a little more wide receiver heavy, and I will do the JT and CMC thing, whatever. But I just like, please don't lose it for me, in those first couple of rounds, because then I want to find the Cooper Kupps, I want to find the Mark Andrews, I want to find last year's Debo, I want to find Amon-Ra St. Brown and Rashad Penny. I want to find those guys in the later rounds. So totally agree with that. Should we hop in a draft?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Anything else that you have kind of learned today through your instinct? Oh geez, that's nice. Maybe we won't get all the people watching in the draft with us. We were the 12th team to join, and we get the 103. So we're in really good shape.
I like it. What else? I'll tell you. I think, and this is probably not learning anything that's so earth shattering here, but it's Listen, I've been playing. Listen, I say this all the time. I've been playing fantasy football since 1986. If I'm not like one of the best players at this, then I don't deserve to be doing this, right? So I feel like I have just like it's in my bones, right? I feel like I know what I'm doing. And early in the year, I draft immediately, and I feel like there was a lot of edge to be had early in the year. I mean, there was very few times today when I saw someone when I saw like a player sitting there, too far out of their ADP where I'm like, oh, I got to jump on this. I mean, we're talking, maybe like, I remember I saw Josh Allen once. I grabbed him at 41, when he was like, his ADP is like 30. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to pass it up. But it was rare that I was seeing like, egregious mistakes out there today. And there
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
not a lot of like people, not a lot of like 4 quarterbacks, first 4 pick kind of nonsense. I think it's pretty tough out there right now.
It is. It is. And that's where I've really gotten into the strategy with all the spike week stuff. So JT and CMC go off. Who do you are you a Cup? Are you taking Cup here? Okay, good. We're definitely on the same page with Cooper Kupp at 103. What do you like between Jefferson and Chase? Are Jefferson and Chase like definitely the 4 and 5 for you? And do you have a preference between those two guys?
They are the 4 and 5, although I have taken Eckler a few times at 5. That's the other thing I was doing today. I was I was getting bored of doing like my normal thing. So I was like, oh, let's see what happens if I take 3 running backs in the first 3 picks, and like just playing around with stuff. No, but yeah, I prefer Jefferson over Chase. I'm probably buying into the new coach narrative and the new offense, whatever. But they're indoors. Jefferson is come winter time is going to be indoors more than Chase. And the Bengals, there's always got to be that little bit of a hangover that you fear. After
they have a tough. They have a tough schedule. Jamar Chase is a superstar. Jamar Chase might already be the best wide receiver in the NFL, but he made a lot of big plays happen. He caught a lot of long touchdowns, and he could still be absolutely incredible and not be better than Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp, and that's what he has to be basically to go where he goes. You brought up a really funny point where I think a lot of best ball, like especially if you're watching this, I mean, Spike Week is a year-round best ball product. So these are like the people that are really into it, been drafting pre-NFL draft and stuff contests, right? You fall into this thing where you've been either drafting the same players constantly or like in the same structure constantly, right? Like you said, I don't personally draft a lot of early running backs,
right.
But like if I draft 5 drafts today, I draft them all the fucking same way with the same players. You as a human, you get bored. Yes. You know what I mean? And so there's this another balancing act of, am I just getting bored and trying to do something different because I've done the same thing so many times, or am I doing something that is smart? And that kind of thing. Was there anything that you felt like firing off so many drafts where was it like, I keep taking the same players, I'm just going to do it to be different, or I think I should like strategically build my team a different way?
No, well, it's interesting you said, because I had the 3 running back build, which I haven't done since last year that I tried it. I mean, like it's usually I'm going, ideally I want to go wide receiver, and I'll wait to take a running back.
You are on the right channel if you are wide receiver heavy early. I knew that you were a perfect guest if you were smashing all the wide receivers early.
But I did a few drafts today. I'll try to pull them up later. Where I just went 3 running backs right off the bat just to see what would happen. I ended up very happy with a lot of those teams, and I think the reason probably is because I was doing a little zig where everyone else is zagging a little bit. So, but again, talk to me. Well, yeah.
We're about to be on the clock here. Is there anything that you've been kind of typically doing here, late second, early third round guys that jump out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I start getting nervous with the running backs here. I think here this is where I'd go Hill and I'd just hope for 4 or 5 huge weeks out of the guy.
Okay. Are you how do you feel about the Dolphin? Well, there goes Tyreek, so never mind. What about these other wide receivers? I agree with you on the running backs. I would be kind of okay with Aaron Jones, but what about T, AJ Brown, etc.?
I think here I would probably reach for Keenan, even though I know I'm going ADP, just so that we have the week 17 stack, which this year you can't do without.
Oh God, you're a wide receiver guy and a week 17 guy. This is
week 17. I got into a big argument. I guess I was invited on Swolecast, which was a dream of mine, and I ended up like pissing Pete off because I was saying this week 17 thing. I don't know. There's so much has to go right to get there.
Yep.
It's just obviously it's one piece of the puzzle, but So all right, we're gonna have another decision here because now do we go hardcore for that week 17 and reach a little bit for Mike Williams here, or do
So
we?
my only problem with that is that is a very common combination. I kind of I'm still okay with taking one of the Chargers wide receivers, but I think a lot of people will double them up here when I think we should maybe go elsewhere. AJ Brown is probably my favorite guy here, but I do, if we want to go to a tight end with Kyle Pitts, DJ Moore, etc., I'm okay with those guys.
Yeah, let's go receiver one more time. So AJ
Brown.
Sure.
I love me some AJ Brown. What do you think about this kind of general grouping? We obviously took AJ Brown, but setting aside the week 17 thing, this is like a kind of a muddied up range for me. I feel like honestly, even our first pick when we took Keenan, you go from like all Keenan through all these guys. They're very, very similar. Was there anybody that like today as you were drafting really jumped out to you in this kind of whole tier, even like maybe on down to the Suttons and Waddles?
Right. Well, I like Moore, but I think the answer is going to be Kamara. Like once this, it gets settled in, like wherever, if he's whatever his, court situation is or whatever. I'm guessing, it's based on like what you read, it seems like it's not going to be that bad, but I don't know. I mean, I think I think if Kamara is cleared and or cleared to play at least, he's got to drop into the early 20s.
Yeah, second round pick for sure.
Yeah,
middle second round or something like that. Put him in the Saquon range, right? Like middle of the second round or something like that.
I saw Josh Allen was dropping a lot today. I mean, as I said, I grabbed him at 41 at one point.
And 41 is nice. 41 is nice.
It's a tough spot because I don't want. Well, they're good. He's gone because I don't want to take. I don't want to take a quarterback here. One of the things I started doing, another thing I was playing around with, I did it today a few times, but it was easier to do a month or two ago, was I would draft, I call it my 7-11 strategy. I would take 11 running backs and receivers with my first 11 picks, and then quarterbacks and tight ends to finish out. And I ended up with a lot of that's how I ended up with a lot of Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Noah Fant, but I'm loaded at running back and receiver, and just hoping that things work on the other end. So I'm glad.
How are you? Is it you're kind of playing it by by ear with how many running backs and how many wide receivers? So you only have 11, which probably means a little lighter on the running back side, maybe a touch heavier on the wide receiver side, maybe something like 4 running backs, 7 wide receivers, or 5, 6.
Sometimes even 3-8 if I get if I would go running back very heavy and give me McCaffrey, Kamara, and Javonte Williams, and then I'm like, I'm done. If these guys fuck me, then there's nothing I can do.
Yep, that's but you're already you're deep into all the best ball strategies. These are the best ball strategies that I talk about 5 days a week. So you could come on here every day and speak the language already.
Yeah, I am. It's a little too much fun for me. I'm just glad I'm getting paid to do it. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that helps. That helps offset the fact that I have to tell my wife every night, like, oh, it's 6 p.m. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm gonna go draft a best ball team and talk to people I've never met before in my life on the internet. So we're starting to. I think, to me, you kind of outlined this too, where we talked about the early rounds is like, let's just not fuck this up.
Right.
We're getting into the range where this is where it starts to kind of get really fun. Right. You know what I mean? Who are you specifically? There's no Giants here. Let's just get that out of the way. But so we're into a different range. Who are you kind of typically targeting 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, well, it feels I don't want to say barren, but it starts feeling nerve-wracking, right? There's so many question marks with so many of these players.
Yep.
I mean, Pitts would be somebody that I would like here, but he's usually gone. I was going to say McLaurin, if he sticks around, I like, and then, Gabe Davis, is he actually going to be what everyone thinks he's going to be?
God, I hope my money hopes so. My bank account hopes so.
Sure.
Let's just say that.
Same here, Deontay Johnson, I love him, but like, do they need Deontay Johnson the way the way they've needed him in the past? As like
Pickens looks pretty good, and Big Ben's not around anymore. So we are on the clock. I mean, Deontay is the best receiver available. There is Cam Akers if we did want to go to a running back. Anybody here?
I mean, Cooks also I like. I feel like Cooks should be higher than 51.
Okay, do you want to do Cooks?
Can we get him coming back, you think?
Let's just take him because right. I think it's all pretty flat right here, so we can just take him and then see what comes back to us. Right. Cooks, this is our first disagreement. Cooks is really not one of my guys, but that is a personal preference, and the market has disagreed with me for months now. So I'm willing to admit that it's possible I'm wrong on Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, he's become one of my guys in the respect that he was not one of my guys, and just the idea of drafting any Texan just feels wrong. Yeah. But
a Texan in the 4th round too, nonetheless.
He has. I mean, he's never not put up the numbers when healthy, and so somebody's and Davis Mills looked pretty good. I don't know.
I thought Davis Mills looked really good actually. Like maybe it was just because I thought he would be so bad that what I saw made me really optimistic, but I do think there goes Deontay. So we have both Lamar and Mahomes here available to us. Obviously, we don't have either, stacking options, but we can figure that out later. George Kittle, DK Metcalf, Bateman. What do you think here?
Yeah, I see. Right now, I would probably take Mahomes here with the idea of like MVS and
love it.
Sky Moore later on.
Very much love that. MVS and Sky are two of my favorite picks.
And they're going to kill me. Also, I mean, I don't know how that offense is going to work this year.
Yeah, right? But that's why we take the guys in the 8th, 9th, 10th round because we know that Travis Kelce is probably just going to be Travis Kelce, but outside of that, I like Juju just fine, but Juju goes in the 4th round. Those guys are very similar bets to me to Juju in the 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever rounds. And so I just want to scoop those guys up. And I am getting a little more Mahomes. It's funny because I wasn't getting much Mahomes very early on because he was going as the quarterback 2 behind Josh Allen when it very early started. So like 3rd, 4th round Mahomes. Now he's back into a range where I'm getting him now, and I'm doing the same thing that you said. Sometimes I'll get Kelce in the 1st round. Sometimes maybe you can hit Juju with him, but mostly I'm getting the Sky Moore and MVS with 5th round Mahomes.
The thing with Juju and the other receivers is that I tend to take Juju when I need help at receiver. Like if I go running back heavy early, I don't want to I feel like Juju. I mean, nothing's a lock, but I feel like he's going to be. Him and Kelce are going to be the ones catching the ball. You're going to get 10, 12 points a week from Juju. Whereas MVS and Sky, you go 0, 0, 0, 30, which is great as long as you can afford to eat those zeros,
Or even if they don't do MVS, will probably do, like you said, 0, 0, 0, 30. But Sky could literally be the 4th wide receiver. McColl could kind of start the year, or Sky could be
Tyreek,
a superstar, so there's this wide range of outcomes, and I like to go after that wide range of outcomes at that cost. So the Chiefs are, we have Rob in the chat who works with us here at Spike Week. He'll have the show tomorrow night, the Spike Week football show, and he's joking about Cooks, but then Mahomes is his highest exposure player. So he was like, "Oh, you drafted Cooks, I gotta log out. Oh wait, you drafted Mahomes, I am back in."
See, the thing that I like about Cooks at that spot is that we had Kupp, Allen, and who was our 3rd guy?
AJ Brown.
So Cooks, we don't need Cooks to be an every week superstar for us. We just need Cooks to Spike Week to and he will have So that's why I wouldn't take Cooks as my number 1 receiver if I was a couple running backs and a tight end into it. But with that pick there, I think what you want from Cooks is those few big weeks.
It's actually a really interesting point because people don't think of Brandon Cooks that way because they think of him as he's just the projectable wide receiver 1 in Houston or whatever. But the problem becomes when you include him you need him to be your wide receiver 1 in the 4th round. Like you said, you took 2 running back, or God forbid 3 running backs, or 2 and a tight end, or whatever. You need him to be your superstar. He doesn't have the upside. There's no scenario, zero, literally zero, in which he's, a top 5 wide receiver or whatever. But
right.
How we're drafting is just like, I just want all these really freaking good wide receivers and let the kind of spikes all play themselves out. And we can also figure out a little bit of fun with, they play the Jaguars in week 17, which is actually kind of a low-key fun game. And you can start to kind of figure that out. So I actually think Brandon Cooks, especially with, unfortunate news with John Mechie, really unfortunate. But with him not being there, I'm a little bit more interested in Brandon Cooks than I was before, for sure.
Yeah. All right. What do we got here? All
right. They're trying to feed us running backs. They're trying to feed us running backs, which I don't really like any of these running backs. This range is tough. I'm interested to hear who you like to take in this range generally. I'll kind of scroll a little bit.
Rough. This is a rough scene right here. Oh man. Go back up. We gotta.
Okay. I got a clear vote here. Devonta Smith. Can I sell you on Devonta Smith?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just wish Hurts was still around, but yeah, I mean,
for sure.
We have Smith and Brown. We'll get one of them each week to do something for us.
It's obviously we would prefer to have Hurts with kind of that pairing, but I think it is okay to still make that bet without that quarterback and just say, look, we have still made this bet on the Eagles. Obviously, Hurts rushing can kind of be a little bit of a thorn in that side. But if the offense really takes this big step forward and they're like, kind of like last year with the Bengals, look at some of the wide receivers we're taking in the early rounds with the Bengals and the Chargers and the Rams and all of that, multiple guys in early rounds. The Eagles can be that too, and at a much cheaper price. And Devonta Smith, I mean, is a big time talent. So here's where it gets tricky. I also have a guy I would take here, so I'm interested to see what you'll do.
So here, I probably start panicking about the running back situation. I'm looking down at Sanders, but we already have 2 Eagles. I don't know if I want Pollard. I don't want Gibson. I don't want Jacobs. I mean, we could just take Lance and be done at quarterback.
God damn it! I was hoping you were going to mention it. That's what we're going to do. Just be done. Just be done at quarterback. It's kind of a fun build. I don't typically love, obviously, a 5th round and a 7th round quarterback, but I do think people will pigeonhole themselves into saying, I can't take 2 quarterbacks in those rounds.
Right.
When we just got to that range and both of us were like, I hate everyone.
Right.
So you don't you can take the best player available, even though the position may not make perfect sense on your team. If that range of the draft is really not super ideal, you don't have to take Josh Jacobs. If you don't think Josh Jacobs is a good pick right there, you can take the other elite quarterback. And so that's kind of where I land on that one.
Speaking of landing, where do you land on Hilaire?
Oh man, we apparently sniped Morano G must be in the draft here, and he was trying to set up a Trey Lance stack, and we got him. We figured out that Jeff is on board with Lance for the question. CEH is maybe one of the most polarizing players in all of fantasy football this year. If you ask anyone under the sun, the first thing they're going to tell you when you ask about him is, oh, he sucks, right? He's bad at football. Right. And I'm not disputing that. I also watch the games. I don't think he's very good either. I can read the metrics.
Wasn't he sick or something
last year? Or that's what he said. He lost a bunch of weight, right? Not from COVID. Was it from COVID? Anyway, he lost a bunch of weight supposedly, which also is really funny because how does an NFL first round starting running back lose 40 pounds and no reporter mentions it? But I mean, the general consensus, and I think it's totally valid, is that he's not actually very good. And he's being propped up a little bit by the Chiefs. The thing about that is that there's not any other good running backs on his team. And so I kind of like Jerick McKinnon. I do draft Ronald Jones, and I'm getting very skittish on that now because we're getting news of Isaiah Pacheco working in with the ones ahead of Rojo, and that's terrifying because they can easily just cut him if they want to. They still have Derek Gore in the background if they really want to go back to that thing that they did last year. But the one guy that's like a lock to be on the team is CEH. Yep. And he does have, it was at LSU, and who knows if it's going to translate. He has pass catching chops. He was a first round pick, and I'm going to try to get more of him basically, even though I'm not like really super excited about him as a player.
Well, you may have a chance in about 60 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to take him.
Well, the thing I like about him here also is that since we have Mahomes, like, again, the idea, like, if Mahomes doesn't, only passes for one touchdown, maybe CEH is getting the other two,
Or if he throws it, I mean, the total perfect scenario is, you get a couple receiving touchdowns to CEH.
I also like Edmonds. See, I like these running backs here. I like Edmonds. I like Penny. I like Hunt. I like Hilaire, so I'm happy grabbing a few of them.
I'm down to do CEH right here at 94. That's pretty good.
That's what I want.
I like it.
And then I want Edmonds, Hunt. I want another running back here.
Okay.
I don't want Gage. We're done with him, obviously.
I still don't. Yeah, who's your favorite amongst? I like this team. Penny, Edmonds. Penny, Edmonds, Singletary, Cook.
I really do try to like break it up a little bit.
Okay.
And then I've even a few times, and this is something to talk about also. Like I've taken Penny and Walker. I've taken Stevenson and Harris. Thinking that maybe if I get lucky, I'm locking up like a stud.
So Penny here then.
I think Penny. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down for that. I actually haven't gotten a ton of Penny for a while, but you see his ADP once I go over here, has gotten up into the 80s. He used to go in the hundreds,
right? But
now we're getting him basically at 100, right at pick 99. So I'm pretty on board with that. I kind of think it's a pretty fun start to a team. Obviously, we're going to have to figure out tight end, but we already have the superstar quarterback, so we're not going to draft another quarterback.
Right.
Got to beef up running back and figure out tight end. But I think this is a pretty fun start.
The one thing about best ball that's interesting to me is that, like, when you have 18 picks, that you don't want to waste any of your picks. You don't want to waste any picks, right? You want you want a story to tell between each one. And like it is, I never hear anyone talking about what I just talked about in taking when you have an unknown running back situation, taking both of them, right? With the idea being, if it works the way you want it to work, you are wasting one of those picks, right? Because you want Walker or Penny to take control of the backfield and be the workhorse. You want Stevenson or Harris to take control of the backfield and be the workhorse. But if one of them, let's say Penny was the clear workhorse, let's say Stevenson was the clear workhorse, they're 50, 60, they're going, 30, 40 picks earlier than they're going right now.
Yeah, correct.
So is it really, so if you take both of the players, right, then maybe you're not really wasting a pick. You're just guaranteeing, hopefully, that you have like the workhorse back. Because again, I mean, you look at Pete Carroll is not one to like split carries. He chooses a workhorse and he runs him to the ground, really. So this is my way of saying
they're going to be down by a lot of points, and he's still going to be running that goddamn ball against the prevent defense.
my way of saying if Ken Walker's still on the board when it gets back to us, I would take Ken Walker.
We're going to do it. Yeah, okay. I support it. And there he goes. But I do think it's interesting. I think there's been shout out to Justin Herzig, who won the very original Best Ball Mania on Underdog, who has been kind of talking about some of this handcuffing strategy. And Scott here in the chat has been doing some handcuffing, mostly in, like he mentions, cash leagues. But I do think it's at least something to think about in these tournaments. But to your point, I couldn't possibly agree more that when I'm doing it, I want to do it like Seattle or the Chiefs. Yep. The Chiefs are a little bit tough because it's at least with Seattle, it's like Penny or Walker. Right. With Kansas City, it's like I mean, CEH, Rojo, McKinnon, Pacheco, Derek Gore, I really don't know. But when you get the clear opportunity to kind of do it at a smart cost, I think it's something you should at least think about a little bit, because it's not just, oh, I guarantee I wasted one pick and I I screwed up one pick. It's like, what if it's Chase Edmonds and James Conner of last year, where James Conner was the guy you wanted, but there were times where they were both good, or Chase Edmonds was good and Conner wasn't. And there's a little bit more kind of that fluidity to the situation.
So all right, what do I do here? I mean, I think the two players that I probably have the most of, with three players, it's White, Smith, and Galladay right down the line.
I was gonna say definitely. What my guess is what you were gonna say was Irv or Galladay. I really like Rachaad White. I think I would put him. We'll see what Rainmaker does. Takes Aaron Rodgers. Rachaad White's probably my favorite, especially for this team that we're building.
We need another running back,
and he's like. He's not, day one going to provide us a lot of points, assuming Fournette is healthy. But when you build a team like this, we just need the pure upside at running back, and that's what he provides. So now we have, I don't want to give away my takes too much, but I have a guy here who I actually don't take very much, that I think is also probably who you don't take very much, but is the right fit on this team. Interested to see if you agree.
I mean, we need a tight end. I love Irv Smith, but
I know you love Irv, but when we took Mahomes, I really think we should take Hardman. Yeah. And I don't like I really don't like McCole Hardman, but I think just with the bet we've made on this team and the fact that MVS and Sky didn't fall back to us, that he makes the most sense.
Yeah. I mean, they've been saying, all you've heard for, 3 or 4 years now is how, when Hill was out, it was hard.
He's the replacement.
He's a replacement. He was the straight line replacement. So let's see how true that ends up being this year. I'm not holding out hope, but, a little bit of, again, we're just, at this point in the draft for us, I think, if we could get those 2 or 3 big weeks out of Hardman, we'll be very happy.
That's the other thing. And I think sometimes people struggle. This actually is probably one of the better examples of this, that people struggle to separate like their home, old school, managed season-long fantasy team, where, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm never drafting McCole Hardman. Like, it's literally not happening. I'm not drafting McCole Hardman. I don't really care, because it doesn't make sense to take that kind of a player, because you're never going to feel comfortable starting him in your old school fantasy football league, right? We're in best ball is a totally different game, especially these best ball tournaments with $1 million total prize pool. Like you said, I don't need him to be a superstar, to be a fine 11th round pick. It's possible that he is just the wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2 on the Chiefs. I'm not projecting that, but it's in the range of outcomes. And even if he isn't, he's going to play. So you just catch a couple long touchdowns and, like, you're fine in this format, because I don't have to decide when to start him.
Right. No, I 100% agree. And yes, it is, forgetting your normal way of thinking about play. I mean, these players, you're strictly, especially once you get past like the first, 3 or 4 rounds, you should strictly be thinking in terms of do they have, that's why, like, when we were talking about like Juju earlier, I'd rather have, ADP notwithstanding, I'd rather have MVS, Sky, and even Hardman than Juju on most of my bills, because I don't need, hopefully, the 5 catches for 60 yards every week. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the 0, 0, 0, 0, 30 and hopefully get lucky and get those 30s staggered,
Right.
So
you have to pray that. It's hard for people to accept the fact that, like, you kind of have to pray to the variance gods a little bit with how the points get scored.
Right.
It feels uncomfortable, but so, like, myself and Peter Overzet had a team. We finished 8th in Best Ball Mania 2 last year, and we had a 0. Well, I'll come back to it. Let's see what we got going on here. So we have 2 quarterbacks that we're obviously done. 6 wide receivers. We're sitting good at wide receivers. We obviously don't have a tight end, and we're still looking for running backs a little bit.
What tight ends are left? Let's just take a quick peek.
I don't mind. I'm pretty into Hunter Henry, actually. I don't know how you feel about him. I'm just gonna star him just in case.
I guess I'm fine with it. But the question is, do we do what we were talking about earlier and hold our nose and Rojo it.
Oh, that's interesting. Do CEH and Rojo? I'm open to that. Do you want to do that?
I mean, ADP tells us to.
Oh shit! Oh, no. Okay, got it. We got
Let's
it.
do it. What the hell?
Let's do it.
I hate Rojo.
He's so funny. We had a fun. I'll try to wrap this up quickly because we're about to be back on the clock. But we had a funny chat in the Spike Week Discord, which if you're not a member of, it's free. Go to spikeweek.com and hit Discord. Where people were like, you can't draft Chiefs running backs that are bad just because they're on the Chiefs. And the person had like 40% Rojo. I'm like, what the fuck has Rojo ever done to like prove that he's I mean, he's a fine, like once he has the ball in his hands as a runner, he's fine. But like, unfortunately, the NFL requires other skills of you to be good. He doesn't have any of those skills. So
see, now you get
so there's our tight ends. Everett's the best one. I do like Everett. We can also come back to running back and hit here. I love this range of running back. Michael Carter. We have a lot of Eagles, so he probably doesn't make Gainwell doesn't make a ton of sense.
Right.
Do you have a preference?
No, I mean I feel like I'm just
let's do Michael Carter. I think he makes a lot of sense for this team where we're looking for this kind of hybrid. We kind of did the theoretically locked up the Chiefs backfield and then went with a lot of kind of upside bets. He's like a hybrid of those two things, right?
Right.
He's like, he's going to play. Breece Hall's not going to play every single snap. Michael Carter is legit good. The Jets are scary, obviously, but I think he's like a really good. I've been trying to I was not super into him when we started draft season, and some other smart people kind of brought me on board with him, and I like him especially on these kind of zero RB type teams.
All right. I'm down with it. I don't have a lot of Carter, but nor do I have a lot of Breece Hall either.
I don't. I actually have a lot of Carter and very little Breece Hall.
Right. Although the Jets are another team, like again, like you take the Jets name away from it, and like it looks like an exciting offense, right?
I know. If Zach Wilson, the Jets are
second year league.
The Jets and the Giants are like the same, kind of very, very similar. If the Jets had Brian Daboll, maybe we'd feel a little bit better. But it's the same thing. They have a young first-round pick quarterback who everybody thinks stinks. Right. I kind of think they both stink too. But a bunch of weapons, first-round picks at wide receiver, second-round picks at wide receiver, free agents at right. Corey Davis and Kenny Galladay, Elijah Moore and Kadarius Toney, Garrett Wilson and Wan'Dale Robinson. Yeah. They have all these guys, Saquon Barkley and Breece Hall and Michael Carter. They have a bunch of weapons. It's just, are the quarterbacks competent enough to make it work? And those are the kind of situations I want to bet on.
Yes.
Maybe it won't work. Maybe it won't work. Obviously, you're betting on the Giants. I'm also on the Giants. I love that. That was your intro to the whole show. And I mentioned Rob Coakley, who is one of the co-hosts here, where he shits on me every time I talk about the Giants because I have so much exposure to the Giants. So I was happy that you were ringing that bell with me.
Yeah, I don't see how you can't like the Giants for purposes of best ball, right? I mean, I think they have a lot of potentially explosive weeks ahead of them. But, we're betting on the coaching. We're betting on Jones being able to put up, the fantasy numbers that you need. And, betting on Galladay, coming back. And, was Galladay just all of a sudden, seeing how what Stafford's done now, was Galladay just a product of Stafford? Like, that's scary to consider.
It's definitely possible. And the camp reports so far are not very good on Kenny Galladay, but I still think he's a fine bet. Like I said, but you can take if you don't want to take Galladay, you have other options. You can take Toney, you can take Wan'Dale. You can I got a guy for you if you're into the Giants. I've been mixing in on my tight end exposure the last round Daniel Bellinger, the 4th round rookie tight end that they took this year out of San Diego State, who is running with the ones, is their starting tight end. I kind of liken him to their Dawson Knox, basically. Kind of an underrated prospect who didn't produce a ton, but is like a really good athlete. It just fits this perfect, metaphor comparison to Dawson Knox. So I've been taking some of him late too.
All right. So I think we should start looking here.
Oh, Everett falls all the way back here.
That's a no have already. I think it's a no-brainer.
That's a smash. Yeah. I can't believe he falls all the way back here to 166. And
there's
fits fits our Cup Keenan.
100%.
Yep. Amazing.
And Higbee, if we want him.
Higbee's there. Higbee is here. I don't love Ingram, but I'm not opposed to it. We talked about the Houston Jacksonville game. He would make sense in that context. Don't really love any of these running backs that are available here.
The running back I like the most there, and I think he'll probably be around if we pass someone, is Jamal Williams. I like the Lions. It's hard not to like the Lions this year. Swift, he's not going to touch the ball 400 times. There's no way. I think that's an underrated thunder and lightning backfield. I think that Williams isn't. I think Williams is going to do a lot better than that ADP would lead you to believe.
I think so too. The one thing that has me so Will Fuller goes, do we want to do Higbee?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, just
I like Higbee here, and he makes so much sense on this team.
And after Kupp and Robinson, where are they throwing the ball?
Yeah, Van Jefferson's hurt already and gonna miss several weeks, whatever the hell that means.
Right.
I assume they're going to bring back Odell because McVay's already, talking about it in interviews, but he won't be back till late in the season.
Right.
Somebody has to catch the ball if they're going to throw it 35 or 40
times. Can't be Kupp last year? I don't remember already. Was it last year or 2 years ago when Higbee had that run of 4 or 5 weeks?
He was the best. He was like Travis Kelce for 4 weeks. It was unbelievable.
Right. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Well, there you go. All
right. So the only thing I was going to say with the Jamal Williams thing is they did just sign Justin Jackson today as a free agent. Not that I if Justin Jackson signing in August is the end of you were probably just really not a good pick to begin with. But I think he's going to fall. I think that news is going to make Jamal Williams fall. I don't really think it changes his bet a ton. I do kind of like Justin Jackson as a player, but I don't think it's going to change a lot for him. Generally speaking, we'll see how, the preseason and stuff plays out. We'll see if Justin Jackson even makes the team.
Right.
But I think the general idea of that will push him back a little bit in ADP. So, maybe he'll even fall back to us here.
It's another underrated aspect of Underdog that, it's a known, but I feel I think, DraftKings is that's where you want to play your daily fantasy. For guys like us, it trumps FanDuel. It's a little bit more of a challenge, right? But it's easy to forget that this is half point PPR.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to forget that, I think, especially if you've been used to playing DraftKings, all the time, for your fantasy football fix, and it's just another little thing. It's when you're deciding between a few players, you're like, oh, this guy's going to catch 100 balls. Well, maybe that's not necessarily,
if you don't score touchdowns, it really doesn't matter in half PPR. Yeah.
It's catching 100 balls in half PPR is like catching 50 balls all of a sudden,
Yeah.
It's just another, just one more little thing I try to remember when I'm doing this stuff.
We call that the Jacoby Myers. That's the Jacoby Myers. Catch a million passes and still be totally irrelevant.
I got so much Jacoby Myers today because there was a handful of times that I fucked up. I'm I was deep into one draft and I missed my pick, and it would always be Jacoby Myers.
I like Jacoby Myers. I like the Patriots. The
late rounds.
The Patriots were God damn it, I'm gonna misremember it. I believe they were 7th in DVOA offense last year. I understand that's not points per game, whatever, but it's it's an efficiency metric on how good they were as an offense collectively. They were a top 7 offense last year. They are the cheapest fantasy offense on all of Underdog.
Yeah.
Pick a bad team. We just talked about the Jets, Giants, right? Jaguars, whatever. They're all more expensive than the Patriots, only because they have a bunch of dudes. But I'm just kind of trying to lean into that a little bit. All right. We are about to be back on the clock. Here's another fun range. We don't need quarterback. We can do 3 tight ends, obviously, if we want to, but we're pretty open other than quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not ready to do 3 tight ends. I will talk about Taysom Hill a little bit later, but let's see.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now we're talking. Here's the running backs. If you have any of these guys, we can look at the wide receivers too.
Yeah, let's take a look at the receivers and see what's out there.
Samuel, AJ Green. Oof. I don't mind Curtis Samuel, but other than that, none of these.
Yeah, I started taking some Samuel today. Actually,
let's do Curtis. We can do Samuel. I like him. He last year, he's a funny one too, where everyone understands the Carson Wentz issues and all that kind of stuff, but they had Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke last year. It wasn't that different from Carson Wentz, and Curtis Samuel was going like 10th round for a long time.
Well, Samuel's another. I mean, getting Samuel this late again, like if you get 3 weeks out of the guy, that boom, you're in good shape. All right, let's talk real quick about Taysom Hill.
Okay,
I was thinking
let's do this pick. Let's do this pick, unless you want to take Taysom Hill.
Well, I mean, where do you stand on him? Do you think that it's possible that he?
I'm very open to him, and I'm very open to him. Is he available?
Oh, somebody take him.
Oh yeah, somebody took him. Somebody took him already.
There you go.
We'll talk about him after this.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 10-ish seconds. Don't love any of these tight ends.
You want to take McKinnon and get 3 Chiefs running backs, or is that
no? Please, God, no. Can I sell you on Dearness Johnson just as a default
trade or something? I'm down.
If the Browns don't trade either Hunt or Dearness Johnson, I'm going to be left holding so many bags of both of those guys. But Dearness is one of my highest exposure players, period. All of best ball, all sites, everything. He goes 17, 18, 19, 20th round, depending upon the site that you're on. And I just see nothing but upside. Like people are really taking Mark Ingram.
Right.
And Dearness could literally go to the Saints. The Saints could trade for him and he would be the new Mark Ingram and actually be good at football. And so it's just one of those, like, if it doesn't work out, they don't actually trade either of those guys. It's okay. Dearness had some good weeks last year, even though he was the 3rd running back.
Yep.
You're hoping obviously for a different scenario, but he's one of my favorite picks really in all of drafts.
No, he's proven to be an excellent football player, and if he gets on the field, he's going to smash at that, that 17th round value, obviously.
All right, Taysom. Let's talk about really quick. We got a little while before it comes back to us. Are you taking a big stand? Is Taysom one of your highest owned players today?
He's started becoming it. Davis Maddock on one of his podcasts mentioned it, and I just and he was right. If he gets behind center, 24 times this year, that could be 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of tight end 1 numbers.
I know.
He sneaks one in, he throws one in. All of a sudden, you're looking at, especially in builds like this where you wait to take tight ends. And so that's when I would take him. I take him after I took, Tanyan and Higbee. Then I'll take Hill. If I'm taking a Kelsey or Kittle, I'm not bothering with it. But he's usually my 3rd tight end, and he's the only 3rd tight end that I'll ever take.
I love that. That's exactly how I feel. That he's the perfect 3rd tight end on this. Like, I punted tight end. I'm waiting. Like you said, I took Higbee is a great example of a guy who can be good, cannot be a superstar tight end. Like, he's not going to finish the year as a top 3. He's not going to contend with Kelsey, Pitts, Kittle, right? But he can be fine. He can exceed his value.
Sure.
Same thing with like I liken it to like if I took Higbee and like Hayden Hurst or something like that. It's like I in a vacuum, I like both of those guys. Elite offenses. There's plenty, there's CJ Uzoma was good last year. Higbee was fine last year and really good 2 years ago. Like there's a chance that they're totally fine for best ball, but they're not going to be league winner, like true league winners. No. Taysom Hill then fits that like upside bet where it's like, look, if I don't have him, like if he busts, whatever, it's fine. But if he's doing exactly like what you said, he's their goal line quarterback and he does get to play a little bit of tight end. Right. God forbid Jameis sucks or gets hurt and they do decide to go to him over what Andy Dalton is the backup there. Like the upside is insane. So I do the exact same thing, mix him into those specific builds. I don't with Kelsey, people will do that like with Kelsey or Pitts or something. It's like if Kelsey or Pitts are the nuts, I don't, that's a wasted pick with Taysom, but in those other builds, I love him.
Oh, there goes Pacheco, huh? So
he's getting steamed up. All right, last pick. We got a couple of guys to go before us here. We are at 2-6-7-2, so we're really open to kind of what we want to do. If you want, we only have Everett and Higbee, so if you want to do another tight end, we can do another tight end. We don't have to force it. What are you kind of feeling?
So who's left at tight end? Let's take a quick peek.
The Tampa Bay guys: Brevin Jordan, Dulcich. I do like Bellinger. I do like Conklin too.
Let's look at the receivers real fast.
Okay.
Is there one?
I'm a little bit of a Zay Jones fan.
Yeah,
other than
but Zay, like I take Zay here too, but Zay's, he's again.
Do you want to do Zay?
Not really, because
Do you want to do a tight end? We got 5 seconds.
Oh shit. Yeah, let's do.
Okay, I just clicked a button. Okay, we did Trey McBride. kind of a similar idea though, where it was let's take a young upside swing at the tight end as that third guy. We had 3 seconds, so I clicked one of them, but it was okay. Higbee and Everett are never going to be superstars, but they're on really good offenses, right? So let's take those guys, and then please God, Trey McBride beat out the corpse of Zach Ertz on Arizona. Let me pull this team up, and then we can review it really quick. If anybody is in the chat and you want us to look at your team, we can. Somebody is saying that there was a triple condom play drafting out of the 6 hole, but we drafted Patrick Mahomes and Trey Lance at quarterback, which is interesting because I think probably I'm not sure I have a Patrick Mahomes and Trey Lance team yet. I don't know if you do, but I don't think I have that combo.
The idea behind it that I really like, and I have a handful of like Josh Allen. I think 2 Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson teams. Is the idea being that, like, again, if variance and the fantasy gods are smiling upon you, you'll just get a series of 30-point weeks out of your quarterback, 25-point weeks out of your quarterback. You know what I mean? With like zero downside, and that that's going to add up for you real quick. Obviously there's risk that it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but if you're just like continually gaining points at quarterback, you're going to advance much more easily. B, you might advance to those playoff weeks more easily. And then when you get to week 17, sure, other teams will have one of your 2 quarterbacks. Probably no one will have both.
Right.
And yes, you sacrificed a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick, but if you get you have 2 of the highest upside quarterbacks in the entire player pool. If you do get the 40-point week.
Yeah. Right. It's not my ideal build, but it kind of felt right here. The Lance pick just
I agree.
Like, there's nothing else to do.
I agree. So anyway, we drafted out of the 103. We took Cooper Kupp. Totally agree with that. We paired Cooper Kupp with Keenan Allen. We brought on Jeff, and he's just drafting wide receivers and week 17 correlations right out of the chute. It was a match made in heaven. We took AJ Brown and then Brandon Cooks. That's where things started to go awry. Well, we took Brandon Cooks. We pivoted really quickly back to a Patrick Mahomes, Devonta Smith, and Trey Lance. So through 7 rounds, we got ourselves 2 quarterbacks and 5 wide receivers, and we were sitting really pretty. We still turned it into a kind of a pretty fun running back room, actually.
Yeah.
CH, Rashad Penny, Rashad White, Rojo, Michael Carter, and Dearness Johnson. We mixed in McCole Hardman to stack with Mahomes, and we went a little late round tight end. We tried to get Taysom Hill, which is one of Jeff's guys. Don't tell Davis Maddock that other people agree with him on Taysom Hill, but we did get Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee, and Trey McBride, who I think this is a pretty good team. Sometimes it's difficult to draft a legit good team on stream, but I think this one's pretty good. What do you think?
I like it. You know, I'm as you were talking through it, I'm looking at some other teams. You know what team I do like a lot is coming out of the 12 spot.
Oh, okay. Swift, Barkley.
Love Swift.
You're on. I like pushing it a little bit on Barkley to get that Swift Barkley. I like doing this, what he did, where the puppy 3 is only going to be open for, like we said, a week or 2.
Right.
How many teams are going to have Swift Barkley, and really what is the difference between Swift Barkley and Henry, Devontae, right? So I really like that. I'm a big fan of Hollywood. Paired him with Pitts. They play in week 17, and that is incredible. Also really good value on Pitts, really good value on Kyler, London, Ayuk, Sky Moore. He stole Sky Moore from us. I'm not a big Ertz fan, but okay. Spiller, Palmer, Pickens, Isaiah McKenzie, another one of my guys, Wandale, both of our guys, Jamal Williams, who you talked about, Dobbs. I love, Dobbs, which remember that now. Romeo, everybody has been saying it's Romeo Dobbs. He corrected that it's Romeo Dobbs, which I never would have guessed.
I won't need to remember that, but good to know.
And Eno and a little bit of Mariota at the end. That's a fun team.
It's a fun team. I like those those late round receivers that he got. Those are a lot of boom guys.
I love that. I love what he did there. Nick was in the 107 really quick. We will Shooby Dooby. We will so he took Kelsey. I support the Kelsey thing. He took Javonte, another one of my guys. He took Mike Williams, who we were considering, a few picks before. So definitely like that. Juju, he might have been mad at us. He took Kelsey in the first and Juju in the fourth, and we took Mahomes. Very wide receiver heavy with Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore, and MVS. Well, he's still loaded up on the Chiefs even without Mahomes. Started with Gibson at running back, Justin Fields at quarterback with some rookie wide receivers in here. Who's your second quarterback? Zach Wilson. Okay. I support this team. You definitely started to get locked out of running back though, Nick. Even more than we did. Gibson, Tyrion Davis Price, Raheem Mostert, Tyler Beatty, and Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a tough year at running back.
Yeah, you still have 149 other puppy teams to draft.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, exactly. You got 149 more shots at this. And as we're getting ready to wrap up, the sex bots have made their way into the chat. Jeff, I really appreciate you joining me. What is your plan? Are you hanging up? Are you hanging up the draft boots, or what's the plan for the rest of the day? Are you going to make it to 50?
Oh no! I'm done. I'm out. I'm done. I'm done. I hopefully I'm not done for the season. But it's fine. I'm going away on vacation on the 20th. I'm out of the country for 2 weeks, so I gotta really buckle it down in the next few weeks here to make sure that I'm fully vested. But listen, man, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I had a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining me. What you're doing this article coming out on US Bets, correct?
Tomorrow it'll be written in.
It's coming out tomorrow. Anything else that you got in the works that the people should be on the lookout for?
I don't know. Every day's a new adventure.
Yeah, I heard that. So anyway, go follow Jeff. Did I say Edelstein? It's Edelstein, correct? Okay. At Jeff Edelstein on Twitter, putting out tons of great content on US Bets. He was, like he said, he was on the Swolecast. He's everywhere. He's everywhere for us at good old Better Collective. I will be back on Wednesday with another show tomorrow. Rob, who you saw in the chat, who was hating on Brandon Cooks, but then quickly pivoted to loving on Patrick Mahomes, will be hosting the Spike Week Football Show tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. And we will see you guys soon. We'll see you guys soon.